Okay, first thing we're going to do is remove this screw to take the rubber handles off. The rubber grips, I should say. Yep. There we go. That's what that screw looks like. Now, these should just pull off. There we go. Grips are off. That's what she looks like. Right now, it looks pretty much like the ultralight. Same kind of spring. You notice there's a bit of rust on this baby. Gonna have to do a lot of rebluing on this. But once that's done, the next thing to do is to remove this plate, which has held in place by 3 screws. Right there. 1, 2, 3. Those are next. Okay, there are the 3 screws removed, and you'll notice that the 3 screws are exactly the same. On the ultralight, this screw here, which holds in this cylinder, actually has a spring and a plunger piece on the front of that screw, and it's longer. That's not the case on these old 82s. Now, before I go any further, I'll show you how this cylinder comes out. Simply pushing the revolver lever swings it out, and then it's just a matter of pulling it forward. You want to be in this position when you take it off, because inside here you've got a little plunger and a tiny spring. Tiny spring, there it is. If you'll notice, so you need to be careful when you yank that out of there. Okay, before we can get this plate off, we need to remove this mainspring. The mainspring, hammer spring, whatever you want to call it. The way you do that is that you cock the gun. And see, guess what? You can't cock it without the cylinder being in it. So we got to put the cylinder back in. Okay, the next thing to do is remove this hammer spring here. And the way to remove the hammer spring is to cock it. Now, you can't cock it if you take the cylinder out. So you've got to leave the cylinder in order to do this step. So you cock it, and once you cock it, you'll see a little white hole. I doubt if you can see it on this one, but there it is. And this is, I'm using a paper clip. I'm putting it right through the hole, like so. Like so. Now, when I bring it forward, there's the spring. It's out of the gun now, and so we're ready to remove this plate. Now, if you flip on the back there, you'll see a hole. That hole right there, I'm going to take a punch and tap it out. Okay, 3 very light taps through this hole with my punch, my center punch, and a rubber mallet. Very light taps. And the plate comes off just like this. And now we get an up-close look at what this baby is looking like. And now you can see the action here. There we go. And now the next thing to do, I believe, is to take out this spring. This would be the trigger spring, right? Yep. Okay, now theoretically, this spring will come out the same way as the other one did. We need a paper clip, and we're going to pull the hammer back until there's a hole. Then that is released. There we go. Now, how does that come off? Is it punch? Is it punched in? Let's take a slow look here. Looks like this. There's a piece here, if you can see it, right here, where this is actually press fitted into the side of this thing. It's not a screw. Okay, in order to remove this spring, there's the hole right there. I'm going to use a punch. Now it's not press fitted in, it's just easily slotted in. So if I push that, I should be able to get the spring out, and there it is. Okay, the next thing to do is to remove the hammer. What it says to do is to rotate it left and lift it off. Just like that. And there's the hammer. Looks like there's a couple pieces there. One is spring loaded there. See it? Whoop. There we go. See it? And there's your hammer. Yeah, that could use some bluing, I think. That's what we have left. Let's take a look here. Yeah. Okay. Then, theoretically, we're going to rotate this forward and pull it off. About. Okay, there you go. That's an action that you might want to look at, just to make sure you... One reason to do this video log of it is in case I screw it up and forget how to put it back together. I could see exactly that operation. Alright, let's see. It says to hammer it, turn it left, pull it forward, and lift off. It ain't lifting. It looks like this is... There it goes. Alright. The way I did that... This was fit in. Let's see if I can put it back in. Ooh, our pin fell out. Great. There we go. There's a little tiny clevis pin that fell out. That's probably keeping this together. So I'll have to figure out where that goes. Now I should be able to lift this off. Maybe. There it is. Comes right off. There's your trigger. Okay. That still leaves the hammer stop. Ooh, look at that baby. There we go. Hammer stop. And she's still locked forward. Now I think we're safe enough to remove the cylinder. Okay. Okay, we're pretty much down to the frame, except for a couple pieces in here, and of course this is the firing pin here, and this little jobber there, which is actually called the cylinder stop. Cylinder stop right there. So let's see how we get rid of those. While I was fooling around with this cylinder release, the cylinder stop fell out of the gun. So I guess you just take that off. It's not held in with... I thought there was a screw or a plunger in there somehow, but apparently not. It's just a free-moving piece of metal. So the cylinder stops out of the gun simply by turning it over, and it fell out. Okay, last thing to do is to try to remove this cylinder release. And it looks like there's a screw there, so I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it. Gonna need some torque. Hold on. Okay, because this thing is spring-loaded, I'm putting my hand on the back here to make sure it doesn't go flying off when I take the screw out of it. So we have to be very careful not to lose parts. And that's not hard to do on this baby. So there's a screw right there on the thumb release. There it goes. Falls out. A little screw. Little thumb release. That could definitely use some bluing. And that gives us the slide here. And I guess it just pushes out. We shall see if it does. Yep, it looks like it. But it's under pressure here. Here it comes. Okay. Now, don't want to lose this spring. There it is. Okay. There is the cylinder release switch, or whatever you want to call it. That goes on the back like that, and it has a itty bitty teeny tiny spring. Okay, now I think we're down to bare. I don't think there's anything else I can take off of here except this and this. That looks like it's pressed in. It looks like somebody's replaced that of late. It doesn't look new to the gun, or it doesn't look the same metal or anything. So I'm going to need a finer punch to get that out. Okay. Okay, yeah. That baby's really pressed in. By the way, that's called the 789. Let's see. The barrel, the locking bolt pin, and the locking bolt with spring. Locking bolt pin, and the barrel. Okay, that's pressed in there, and it's pressed in there hard. I'm going to have to put it in a vise and pound it out to get that thing out of there. I'm not going to do it. I don't really care. So, I've got the rest of the gun stripped. These parts need to be blued. That doesn't. And now all I've got to do is clean it. Put it back together. I will post a putting it back together video when I actually do put it back together to make sure I know how to do this. So, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Okay, forgot to show you how to dismantle the cylinder. You've got the extraction rod and the plunger, and there's a spring in there, of course. And so the way to remove this is that this actually unscrews, and it unscrews clockwise. So it's got a left-hand thread on it. And the way to remove it is to hold your cylinder and use a pair of vice grips and a cushion. And a cushion on it. Let's see if we can. There it goes. Okay, got it loosened up. Let's see if it pulls out. Why, yes it does. And here comes the plunger and the extractor pin. There it is. And there's a spring in there. And the extractor itself, at least I thought that came out. Maybe not. Where's the part? There it comes. There we go. Ta-da! There it is. Okay. And there's your cylinder. Woohoo! Now, how do you get this off? This is actually on here with a press. It's got a snap ring. It's actually snaps in. It's got a snap ring in there that's holding it on. So what you got to do is essentially block up this section and hit the top of the cylinder to pop it off of there. And I don't think it'll come out all by itself. No. Nope. It's going to take some whacking. So, and you got to be careful. You don't want to mar or beat up the pieces. So, I'll see if we can do something about that. Okay, what I've done is I've tightened the what the heck do you call it? Tightened the yoke into a wooden vise, and that's pointing downward. I should be able to knock that off, and it'll fall into that little bowl down there, so I don't mess it up. So I got a rubber hammer. I got a punch. Let's see if this thing will punch out. Just like that. And also comes out is there's your spring, and I have no idea which way it went in. Oh, I guess it. And I will. And there's the bushing. Okay. There's the spring. Oop. Dadgummit. Let me straighten this camera up. Okay. There's the spring that came out of it. It's got a bushing on one side bushing on one side, open on the other, and then you have this. Let's see if I can push it out of there. You have that bushing in there, if you can see that. There it is, see it? It doesn't come out, it's just sort of hanging in there. So that's dismantled now.